Hello, I'm Tom Horton. I'm the director of the BA in Computer Science program, a degree program offered for College of Arts and Science students at UVA. This is an information session for students who might be interested in majoring in computer science or taking a few computer science courses or minoring in computer science. This session's designed for students who are arriving in fall of 2024, either as transfer students or first years. Um, but this may be available on the web for students who are arriving after that. So the information is probably not out of date. So I've got a presentation about computer science at UVA, the degree program we offer for College of Arts and Science students, but the information will also be useful to people interested in minors. So let me share my slides with you. So the first thing I want to say is that if you are coming to UVA in fall of 2024, we'd really like to have your name and email address so we can send you follow-up information and tell you how you can contact us during summer orientation and afterwards. So there's a really short form here. You can see the URL there, and there's a nice QR code if you want to take a photograph with your phone. And it just asks your name and your email address and whether you're coming to summer orientation. Again, if you're watching this after summer of 2024, just ignore that. Don't fill out that form because we'll just be looking at it this summer. All right. Well, let's get rolling here. So you're presumably watching this because you think you might be interested in computer science, and that's great. We're excited about having more students in our program. And so one thing I want to make clear is that we have a program here at UVA for students in the School of Engineering and Applied Science. And this presentation is not for those students. This is just for students in the College of Arts and Sciences because we have a BA program there. There is a minor that students in any college or school can take. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that too. So I'm going to start off with some general information about our BA in computer science and the minor. And then at the very end, I'm going to get into some special information for those of you who are transferring into UVA here in summer of 2024. All right. So first of all, we have a great advising website where we have tried to put the answer to every question that anyone, a major or minor or someone just interested in computer science courses, any any question should be answered there. We have done a really good job of trying to populate this. It's nice, it's searchable. So you can see the URL there. It's uvacsadvising.org. Again, there's a QR code if you want to get there without having to type that in. And there's a bunch of people who can help answer questions for you. And so I'm one of them. I'm an associate department chair, but also director of this BA program. And that means I look at people when they come in, when they're admitted. I handle tricky problems. I try to connect people with the right advising staff. But we have a bunch of other ways you can get help. I am not by any means the only one. We have a lot of staff. I'll tell you more about them later on. And there's an email address, cs-office@virginia.edu, which will go to well, really all of them, and then they'll route it to the right person. And so we're the source for any of your CS questions, but I want you to remember as a College of Arts and Science students, you also have a second advisor called your association dean. And your association dean is the one who answers questions on, first of all, general education requirements. We in computer science don't know about those. We will not be able to answer questions about them. In fact, they've told us not to. But there's other sort of kind of policy questions like I need to take a leave of absence. I need to graduate late. I need to get a course overload. I've got financial aid problems. We in computer science just answer computer science questions. So all of those things need to go through someone else at the university, and your association dean is the person assigned to help you with that. So if you do have a CS question, should you contact one of us first? Well, please look at the advising website because it has lots of answers there, and it's so easy to use. I'll demonstrate it in a little while. And then if you've got questions, email one of our staff. All right, we've got more about this later on. Here's what our advising website looks like at the top level. You can see it's got a nice table on the left-hand side, and there's a whole section you can see right there. It says BACS information, including a big subsection on declaring the BACS, info for new BAS students. And then if you're going to major, one of the big areas of questions, there's these things called integration electives. But up here at the top where you see this search UVA, you can type anything in there and stuff will pop up. So for example, if you want to do study abroad, just type abroad in there. If you want to transfer courses in later on, type transfer. Go play with it because it's really turned out to be super useful. We love it, the faculty, and students tell us it is great. All right, let's talk about the major in case you're watching this because you know or you're considering majoring in computer science in the College of Arts and Sciences. Well, why do we have 2 degrees? We have one in engineering because there's a certain style of education that goes with an engineering degree. But our degree in the College of Arts and Sciences is computer science in the context of liberal arts education. It's definitely a real computer science degree. Companies and grad schools treat it just the same as they treat our engineering degree in terms of hiring and all that sort of thing. But if you read the description, and I won't go through all of this because it's kind of standard sort of stuff, but one of the things in that middle paragraph, an important goal is to give students the ability to apply computing to other areas of the arts and sciences. So the idea of studying computer science in the context of liberal arts education is why we have this second degree, or why we have 2 degrees, one in college and one in engineering. And that's what distinguishes them. Again, a lot of the computer science is the same, and what a lot of the most prominent differences are what you do for your general education. In engineering, there's a big emphasis on sort of core engineering courses, physics and chemistry, and intro to engineering. There's an emphasis on a capstone project. In the arts and sciences, you do foreign language, you do a broad range of things in social sciences, the natural sciences, um, that kind of stuff. All right, but both will get you to where you want to be if you want to do take a profession in computer science or go to graduate school or use computer science in some other field. Well, let's say you've arrived, maybe you've been here a few semesters, or maybe you've transferred in and you're ready to declare. Will you be admitted? Is it hard to get in? Well, all you have to do is have those 2 prerequisite courses. That's the intro programming class, which at UVA is CS 1110 or one of its other flavors like 1111 or 1112, and the second course, CS 2100. And both of those are offered at community colleges. And so many students coming in already have those. We want to see that you've had a grade of C plus or higher. And if you meet those criteria, you'll be admitted right away, no question. If there's an issue with some of the grades, I'm the one who'll be looking at your transcript and perhaps having a little chat with you. Some of you may have taken these courses way back in the COVID times when we were giving credit instead of letter grades, and a credit grade is fine too. Also, we have a place out test. I'll say a little bit more about those later on. If you have that for one of these, that's fine too. So if you want to declare, but you haven't had CS 2100 or the equivalent yet, well, you have to wait to complete that and get the C plus or higher. And so go ahead and start taking CS courses, including that one, obviously. And once you've done that, you can fill out the DocuSign form that's described on the advising website to declare. Yeah, AP credits, IB credits, place out exams. We're good with all of that kind of stuff. The details are on our advising website, but here's the basics. A 405 on the CS placement test for AP gives you credit for that first intro to programming class. The principles, we don't have really a good match for that, but if you've learned some programming somewhere else, you might be a great option to take our place out test. IB, you can see the scores there. Let me say a little bit about the place out test. A place out test is a test we give here in the department. It shows us what you get a chance to show us what you know for 2 courses, 1110 and 2100. And if we think you know that material, you don't get any UVA credit because we in the computer science department can't do that for you. But we can sort of waive this as a prerequisite for later courses. So you can take any course that later on requires 1110 if you pass that one, or 2100 if you pass that one. So you can find more information there, including when they're offered and how you'll take them, again, on our advising site. So how do you go about declaring if you're ready? Again, we've got all the details on the advising site, but really quickly, there's a really short form from our department that asks some basic questions about whether you have the grades in the courses and when you're going to graduate and some things like that. So that's a PDF document that you fill out. Then the way the college handles major declarations is using a system called DocuSign. And so we, again, on that URL, have detailed instructions about how to make that work. And you need to follow those very, very carefully, or your declaration form can disappear into nowhere and we'll never see it again. And you'll wonder what happened to it. So when you submit the DocuSign form, you'll attach the department's form, and it'll come to me and I'll review it, and then I'll send it on to the next person. And it goes through a chain of people. We usually do these fairly quickly, but there are times when there's a bit of a break, when vacations come around and the breaks between semesters happen. But there's no sort of one time of the year when we do it. You can submit this anytime. Okay. Again, go to that URL on our advising site for more info and follow the instructions there. Well, let me tell you quickly about computer science here at UVA. I mentioned we have an engineering degree. We actually have two. One is a BS in computer science, and the other is computer engineering. And I won't say much about computer engineering because it's kind of a cross between electrical engineering and computer science, but definitely an engineering degree. And then for those of you in the college, we have this college degree, the BA. And we don't have different courses for the different majors. In other words, if I'm teaching a computer science class, it'll be a mix of CS majors and college majors and engineering majors. There's a couple of exceptions to that for things like capstones and research courses. There's some that are for one or the other, but the main courses are a nice mix. So how are they different? You might be thinking, should I be in engineering? Is that going to be significantly different? Well, let me tell you how the computer science parts are different. First of all, we now have what we call our common foundation. And those are the courses you see over the left. There's after CS 2100 and 1110, there's a course in discrete math called CS 2120. A second course called another 2000 level course called 2130. That's the first of two courses in computer systems and organization. So that's got more of a hardware or an operating systems flavor. Then our data structures and algorithms class focuses on really the design and theory of algorithm analysis. That's 3100. A second course in that's more theoretical than discrete math, but it's called Discrete Math and Theory 2. That's 3120. A second course in this computer systems and organization. And then CS 3140, which is a course, even though it's at the bottom, you should take much earlier than some of those others. That's on some more practical experience in how to develop software. So that's common to both degrees, both engineering and the college. So what's different about the BA and the BS then? The BS, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, you'll see there's one more required class, Advanced Software Development, a software engineering class. Oh yeah, we've actually changed the name of that to software engineering. I need to update my slide. And that counts as an elective for BA students, and many of them take it. As I mentioned, engineering students do a capstone, and they have to do 5 more CS electives. So they do a total of 48 credits of computer science coursework. In the BA, you only do 36 credits, but that's pretty typical of a liberal arts degree. The whole philosophy of a liberal arts degree is that you don't dive as deeply into one subject. You sort of study more things if you want. So only 3 CS electives are required for the BA instead of 5. You don't have to do that capstone. And one other difference is we have this thing called integration electives. And these are non-computer science courses taught in the college that meet that goal of being able to apply computer science to some other discipline in the college. And I'll say more about those in a second. So again, you can see it's fewer computer science credits, but that's more the nature of what makes an engineering degree different from a liberal arts degree in the College of Arts and Sciences. All right. Some things about general ed here in the engineering degree. Man, they do a lot of math. They have to do calculus up to Cal 3. They're required to do probability and 2 more math classes. In the BA, there's no specific requirement for computer science. For DSA2, CS 3100, we really want you to have seen the basics of calculus like derivatives and limits and things like that. It doesn't have to be on your transcript. If you've had it in high school, that's fine. Just somewhere we want you to have seen that sort of basic kind of calculus and pre-calculus stuff. In the BA degree, there's definitely more breadth. The college general education requires you to do things in the social science, in the arts, in foreign language, and that's the kind of breadth that engineering students don't take. One other big difference is that BA students can sort of require to declare pretty much any time. Engineering, they have to require at the end of their declare their major at the end of their first year. So the engineering majors have to decide really quickly what majors they're going to do. And arts and sciences, people can try out different things, choose multiple majors, et cetera, et cetera. And so often our BA students come into the program a little bit later than our engineering students. I mentioned some of the courses that you need. And so this is from our advising website. You can go find it there. It's called the prerequisite chart. And it shows a tree of with sort of pathways of what you can take when. The things that are highlighted that are like CS 1110 and CS 3130 that are highlighted in sort of a heavier font or heavier circle. Those are the foundation courses. They're the ones that both the engineering students and the arts and science students take. And you can see that there are a whole bunch of other things that are electives. We offer more electives than I think probably certainly any other degree program in engineering, and more than a lot of them in the college. You have lots of choices of things you can take. I will point out that some of them have some additional math requirements. So for example, if you're going to do some data science or machine learning, they want you to know some linear algebra to be able to do that. And so we don't require that because not every student wants to take those courses. But just be aware that certain courses, that are electives, might require some math that you will have to take as one of your other requirements. The only place that comes into play for CS is DSA2, CS 3100. I mentioned that before. We want you to have had some basic calculus. All right. So you'll be looking at this later on when you're planning out your course sequence. One thing I'll comment on here is CS 3140. We do kind of recommend that you take that before 3100. CS 3140, Software Development Essentials, helps you learn how to program better. It teaches you some programming skills and tools, and that's just going to help you do better in many of our courses which require programming. So getting that out of the way as soon as you can is a good idea. All right, so a lot of what I've been talking about applies to the major. If you're just thinking about exploring computer science, you can start down those paths, taking some of those early courses. And you might discover that you like it well enough that you want to do a minor, but not the entire major. So what's the minor made up of? 6 courses, 1110 and 2100, I've mentioned before, are prereqs. Then that discrete math class, the Computer Systems and Organization 1, the Software Development Essentials, and then you can pick one more. So 6 courses, and they have to be courses you get at UVA. If you get AP credit, then yeah, it's on your transcript, that counts. But if you do our placement test, that doesn't show up on your transcript. And so you will definitely need another course, another, say, CS elective, another CS course, not on this list that you could take. One thing I want to tell you about, the minor is officially administered through the engineering school. So you won't apply through the normal college process. Go to our advising website. It'll tell you what form to fill out and who to send it to. All right. Back to the major. Let's say you do like this well enough that you're going to do the CS major. What about these things I mentioned before called integration electives? Well, one of the goals of our BA degree in computer science is to let you combine the degree with courses in arts and sciences and humanities to show how those topics connect with computing. And the way we do that is make you take 12 credits of courses called integration electives. We have a list of like 95 courses, and there's others you could apply for. What are they? They're non-CS courses that explore computing in some way. Sometimes it's a roundabout way, but in some way, or maybe they provide fundamental depth and background in computing. And so there might be an ethics course that focuses on ethics and computing, or ethics in IT or AI or something like that. These courses are offered by departments in the arts and sciences, not in engineering, not in business, not in the other schools. There's one exception to that I'll talk about in a minute. But these are our college courses that aren't in CS, but do something with computing. So I mentioned this list of 95 courses. The true and official list is in the undergraduate record. There used to be a link to the list. Oh, wait, so sorry. There is a link on our advising website. Surprise, surprise. The advising website has everything. And I showed you there was a heading about integration electives. And so you can find the list there. There's even a web page that shows you what's being offered for the next semester and how many open seats are there in the courses that are being offered in the next semester that gets updated periodically. Can you count a course that's not on our list? Yeah, you can petition them. We have a document that explains all the rules about what can count and what can't count. You can see things that we have already approved that aren't on the list, but we'll count them automatically. And there's a list of things that people have asked for that we've said no to. Common questions are for integration electives, can I count something that's offered in engineering or commerce or data science or education? There are a few exceptions, but normally not. So for example, in commerce, there's a whole bunch of IT courses, and those can't count as integration electives. Again, this is all in that document. If we do let you take a course, so for example, there is a psycholinguistics class that's taught by the psychology department, that's in the college, but there's also one taught by the education school. We do allow that other psycholinguistics class to count, but you can only count 3 credits of those 12 for courses that are not in the colleges, not in the College of Arts and Sciences. We can't count CS courses. And you can't also count things that aren't CS for a CS elective. Remember, if you're majoring, you have to take 3 CS electives. Students sometimes say, hey, there's this statistics class or this data science class that has something to do with, it looks a lot like your machine learning class. Can we count that? And the answer is, unfortunately, no. All right. I mentioned before about getting into the major. I won't spend much time on this, but it used to be we had a limit. What we don't anymore. So if you have those prerequisites with C pluses or higher, you get in automatically. That's 1110 and 2100. Our major is big. It's one of the biggest in the whole university. When I say our major, I'm really combining all the computer science majors together. This sort of shows you the history. And over on the far right, you'll see the not the most recent graduating class, but the one that graduated last year. We had 702 total majors if you include the computer engineers. And so that's grown from, 10 years ago when it was around 200. So computer science has become super popular both at UVA and all around the country. So we do have large classes. We do have a big load in terms of how many advisees each of us see. But that's okay. We're dealing with it. Computing is important and exciting, and we're glad to see people interested in it because there's still a big need for people to study computing. All right. There's a lot on this page. A lot of students say, can I double major in something else? And yeah, that's one thing great about the BA in computer science. There's plenty of room in the requirements to be able to sort of do a second major. And at least a quarter of our students do a second major. And you can see which ones are most popular there: econ, applied stats, and cognitive science. A lot of students do minors, and data science has become a super popular minor. Here's one thing to bear in mind, though, and this is again described on our advising page if you don't remember it. The college has a rule that if you're majoring and minoring, you can't count a course for each of for both of those together. So if you take, I don't know, Stat 3120, it could count perhaps as an integration elective for us for the BACS, but you want to use it for a stat minor. You can't do that. You can share courses between 2 majors. So if you're double majoring, you can share normally up to 2, but there's a little exception to that too that I won't talk about here today. But usually it's 2 or possibly 3 courses between 2 majors, but not between a major and a minor. I know it's a strange rule. It's not, don't blame us. It's the college rule. Okay. One thing we're very, very interested in our department is trying to get more students into computing who aren't normally in computing. We call these students from underrepresented groups because there's such a big demand on computing that one way of sort of meeting that demand is to try to pull in people from groups where people don't normally choose computing. There's also been some studies that have shown that computing and engineering solutions turn out to be much better if there is a mix of people with different backgrounds on teams. And so in my department and in the School of Engineering, we believe in inclusive excellence because things are better in terms of learning and engineering and computing success when everyone's not the same. So this may matter to you, maybe it doesn't, but our BA in computer science has a large proportion of women. And when I say large, 38% is actually pretty large. Around the country, it hovers around 22%. Our engineering BS is about the same. But if you take all our three computing degrees together, 29% women. That's 7 or 8% higher than the national average overall. So we're really proud of that. We've done some things to try to make that happen. Other underrepresented groups, that's what we mean by URM, hovers around 10%. We have a lot of transfer students, and that's growing. About 12% of our majors are transfer students, and a lot of students who are first generations. Again, at many universities, computer science will be very international, but here at UVA, it's a little bit less so. So we're really pleased with this. We like to see the number of women in our BA program is really high, and we've been very successful and recognized nationally, as you'll see there. All right, some things to know. Let's just talk about. Oh, this is kind of more advising kinds of stuff. You will be assigned a CS faculty member once you declare the major as an advisor. And you may be required to meet them before course registration. We've sort of changed up our system in recent semesters. So you might not be required to see them every semester, but we'll make that clear beforehand. We also have a staff advisor, SJ. SJ has the title advising coordinator, and you can reach SJ through the main CS-office at virginia.edu email. And SJ is a trained professional advisor who has good connections around grounds with the Dean of Student Affairs, with SSTAC, with all kinds of support kinds of things. So we have a specialist to sort of handle students with interesting or challenging problems. And so you can go to SJ for any kind of help you might need. And honestly, SJ will be more helpful than probably me or a faculty member, because SJ is a pro in advising. Another thing I want to mention is we have a distinguished majors program where you can do a research thesis in your last 2 semesters. You have to apply for this. You take some extra courses. And so if you're interested in that, you can look at that later on as you move through the program. You don't have to do that program to do research. We also have a special topics, a independent study course, CS 4993, and you can take that and get for up to 3 credits and use that as CS electives. Study abroad is super popular. We have a lot of students who do that. You can take computer science courses all over the world and get credit here at UVA for your degree. Again, our advising website talks about how to get approvals and how to find out about that. We have many clubs and organizations. There's some general ones like the ACM. That's the name of the National Organization for Computing Professionals. And there's a student organization. We have several women in computing clubs. We have a computer and network security club. We have a student game design club. There are more I can't even remember. So hopefully we'll get you information about that if you declare the major, how you can connect with people there. And finally, I want to mention career development offices. UVA has 2 at least. There's a career development office for the whole university, and they can help you. But we have a specialized career development office in the School of Engineering called the Center for Engineering Career Development. And students in the College of Arts and Sciences who are majoring in computer science can work with them just like an engineering student. So they support us because we're an engineering department. You are part of our department, and so they will support you. And so they're over in Thornton Hall, and they do a lot of great stuff for people getting computing jobs. I think better than the general-wide, campus-wide career development office because they're more specialized. All right, this is a hideous slide. So I want you to sort of come back to this later on, perhaps, because a lot of students say, how do I get an answer? It's a huge department. I showed you how many people we were graduating. We have about over 2,000 majors at any one time in the department. And so if you have a question that needs answering, honestly, the first thing to do is go to that advising website. We put everything that anyone's ever asked us up there. It's searchable, it's organized. It's really good. So that's your first stop. Sometimes students say, oh, can someone meet with me to go over what I need to graduate? And you don't need us for that. SIS, the information system here, has the same thing we would use to go do that with you. There's two ways of getting this. One's called the AR report tool, the Academic Requirement Report tool. And the one you're probably going to use more often is the degree progress tool. You can do that anytime, and it will tell you what you need. It uses the same rules that the college dean's office uses to check you for graduation. If someone walked in my office and asked, "Will you do that?" I would show them this tool and say, "Let's look at this." I mean, if you look at it and you have questions, we'll be happy to help you. But the university's got great tools for sort of helping you see what you need to graduate. Well, let's say you do have a question about something that's specifically about CS. You've got your faculty advisor, and I'll tell you what they're good for in a minute. But we've also recently hired students to help with advising. We call them ambassadors. And on the fourth floor of Rice Hall, there's a big open area. And during the fall and spring semester, they sit out there at a table with a sign on it that says advising here. And these are students just like you. They've been trained in advising. They know what they can answer. They know what they need to send to somebody else. They're there, you know, most of the working hours during the fall and spring semester. And so often they give really good advice. Um, I'm here for bigger administrative questions. You know, if something is strangely wonderful that needs solving, I'm the right person for that. But for basic routine stuff, we've put into place a lot of other people who can help you, including our website. You got a question about a non-CS requirement. That's your association dean. Go to them. You got a question about an internship. Students come to faculty sometimes and say, "Can you look at my CV? Can you help tell me how to get an internship?" Faculty aren't good at that. We haven't worked in industry. We're academics. Luckily at UVA, we've got specialists in that. The Engineering Career Development Center is the place to go. And they do have drop-in hours, and normally those are Tuesday to Thursday, 1:30 to 3. They may be different the semester you're watching this. You can find their website with a Google search. They're in the Thornton Hall on the ground floor of what we call the A wing of Thornton Hall. So it's really easy to access. It's the building next to the bridge that goes over Emmett Street. I'm studying abroad. I need a course approved. Well, the website talks about the right person to see. It's currently not me, it's Professor Rice. But if it's integration electives you need to ask about, I am the one to do that. I deal with all the integration elective stuff. Finally, I mentioned SJ a little while ago, and I just want to remind you that if SJ is a trained person with connections around grounds to talk about things like I'm having trouble, I'm depressed, I need someone to talk to, I'm having trouble with my advisor, I'm struggling with this, and I just don't know who to do it. SJ can handle all of those kinds of things and the routine stuff too. Finally, there's a lot of procedural stuff like I took this course and it's not showing up in SIS the way I want to. I don't know who to ask about this. I want to reserve a room for a meeting. We have student support staff who help with that. And the way you get to them is through that email address, cs-office@virginia.edu. Okay, that's a lot. Our faculty advisors are great with a lot of things, but it's the stuff that we know how to answer. And we're professionals and experts in computer science and computer science research. So if you ever want to ask questions about research opportunities or grad school, we are definitely the ones to come talk to. If you want to find out more about what a specialty area is all about, like, I've heard about this thing called AI. What's it really like? Can you give me a brief overview or tell me how I might talk to some other people about that? We are great for that too. What we're not great at is all these particular rules about degree requirements. Well, I am, and some of us are, but many of our faculty have been hired in the last 3 or 4 years. They haven't been at UVA very long. They don't know all the detailed rules on policy. And in fact, I mentioned our department has 3 different majors. And one of those majors is an entirely different school with totally different rules. Our faculty are not great on all the nitpicky little rules. That's why we have this advising page. That's why I have an email address like cs-office@virginia.edu. So we want to sort of set the expectation about, we don't want to discourage you from talking to your faculty advisor, because you should. But don't expect them to sort of know the things that they're not going to know. We want to sort of set up realistic expectations about who you should go to for help and what they're going to be good at helping you about. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what happens after you graduate. This data is a little bit old, maybe a year or so, but it's still pretty typical. I've seen the more recent data and it hasn't changed very much. The companies that hire our majors are some of the big ones, like Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Apple doesn't hire that many, but hires a few. Capital One is a big employer that hires a lot of our students, and they offer really great jobs. You might not think of Capital One as being the place you want to go get a job, but trust me, you might. And salaries are good. They're down in the bottom right hand corner. You can see the BS students have a higher median salary than the BA students. I will point out that the BA salary is higher median than the engineering salary as a whole. Okay. Um, but why are the BS students making more? We've looked into that and we've come to an interesting conclusion. A lot of it is choice. A lot of it is BS students tend to be more inclined to want to go to the West Coast, to Seattle, to New York, some of the places where the higher salaries exist, and BA students seem a little bit less inclined to do that. You might wonder, well, maybe they don't get hired there, but we've got companies that hire both students and they make the same salaries. So there's no difference if two students go to work for one company and they're different, have different majors. But the big thing seems to be internships. Having more internships gives you more experience, and that seems to get you into a higher paying job. And BA students typically start a little bit later and therefore have fewer opportunities because there's fewer summers to get an internship. But salaries are good, whichever you choose. A lot of our students do go to grad school. This shows you, this is again a couple of years old. It showed that a large percent of our students who graduated were going into the job market, but some of them were going on to do grad school in a computer science or IT field like software engineering or computer science or data informatics. But some of them were combining computer science with other things like public policy or marine biology, or someone even did Latin American studies. So our BA students do a real diverse set of things, both in grad school. All right. And if you want to know more about what some BA students have done, I've got two slides with some names on them. And I'm not going to talk about these people in much detail, but I went looking for people I remembered from years ago. And I picked out some who are doing some really interesting work. And so Michael Liu, I listed him first. He was a student who did a project with me, who went on to do his law degree and is a patent attorney. And so we have a number of students, one or two a year who go that route to sort of do intellectual property or patent law down the road. But some of them have gone on to do, um, PhDs and are in research fields. Others like Muzabel have gone on to be venture capitalists and other things in business. Christina is a vice president at TD Waterhouse, now just TD. Pretty fascinating group of people. And maybe one day you'll be on this list. Of course, many of our students go on to do sort of more normal things too. So we're not trying to intimidate you by showing you some people who've done really well. We're just trying to sort of paint you a picture that the world's your oyster. You can use this degree in computer science to go far and do wonderful things. All right, so let's just wrap up this part. Again, don't forget about the advising webpage. In particular, there's a section on info for new students if you're going to major. Again, our CS-office is always the address you can go to for anything, and it'll get routed to the right person. Non-CS questions, ask your association dean. All right, so I'm going to switch gears now and have a few slides about students who are transferring to UVA right now. So if that's not you, if you're a student who started here as a first year, you can tune out now. Well, transfer students, we are happy to have you here. We definitely want to have you get off to a good start. Transitions can be a challenge. Here at UVA, that's both academic and just socially. You're coming into a new environment. And so there's definitely a lot of challenges. We want to be able to talk to you to help you get into courses, to help answer your questions. We have a sort of longer survey form that'll help us do that, but we have given you this short survey form that's just your name and your address, your email address, so we can get in touch with you. So please, if you're watching this and you're a transfer student, give us your name on that so we can get in touch with you and help you out. Hopefully you're coming to summer orientation. That happens in July, but if not, if you're going to show up here in August, you're going to need some special help at that time. So get in touch with me no later than a week before classes start, and we will help you out. If you're watching this and you're coming in January, again, talk to me. We'll help you get into CS courses. It's definitely a challenge getting into CS courses your first semester, and we are ready to help. So one question that's pretty common is I've just arrived. I'm a third year. I've done 2 years at a community college. Can I complete the CS degree? I haven't done much CS. And so you definitely can. If you've had CS 1110, that first programming course, it's definitely possible. And I'll show you a schedule that looks pretty clean. It's pretty easy to do. If you haven't had CS 1110, that means you haven't had any CS. And so that's trickier. We don't even really know if you like CS yet. Um, so I'm going to work on the assumption. So talk to me if you're in that situation. It could be that a minor is what you need to be thinking about rather than the major. Um, you'll have to, if you haven't had CS 2100 yet, you can take it your first semester. And that means you won't be able to declare the major right when you get here. And the college kind of insists that you declare a major um, your fifth semester. But they have this option for deferring. And so that's one of the things we want to talk to you about. If you haven't had 2100, we need to get you into that and explain the deferral process and all of that. But if you've just had one or two CS classes, you don't really necessarily know if CS is a good match for you. And so we really recommend that students think about having a plan B, a backup plan. Like, okay, I'm going to take CS because I'm hoping I really like it. I think I might. But if it's not a good match for me, at the same time, maybe I'm going to be taking courses in, I don't know, statistics, cognitive science, economics, just something else that you think you might do in case computer science doesn't work out for you. All right. Um, well, let's say you do arrive here and you just had 1110. You can see here a schedule for 4 more semesters where you're not taking too many computer science courses a semester, 2 and 2 and 3 and 3, and that will let you get all your computer science courses out of the way. Um, of course, you're going to have to fit in other things like those integration electives we talked about earlier, and you might be missing some gen ed requirements, or maybe you want to do a minor or something like that. But in this scenario, for someone who's just had 1110, there's still a way of completing the major. You'd have to wait until after fall to declare it, and you have to defer before that, but you can still complete all the CS courses you need without taking summer school or anything like that. If you're coming from a Virginia community college, there's a lot of courses that are equivalent that match our CS 1110, 2110, 2120, and 2130. You probably know about those. If you're nervous about whether you're really well prepared, don't hesitate to retake the UVA courses here. It won't really help you. It won't really, sorry, it will help you. It won't really mean you won't get credit. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. You'll have gotten credits in community college and then you'll retake the same course, which seems kind of like a waste, but better that than not being prepared. So if you're worried about that, talk to us during the orientation process and we'll decide what's best for you. Um, Place out tests, you can take those in the summer. That's one of the things we need to explain to you is when you can take them, but it'll take us a little while to sort of grade them because, faculty just aren't around in the summer. We're not, most of my colleagues aren't paid to work in the summer. So many of them don't show back up until August. The college is a transfer equivalency analyzer, which hopefully you've seen. And so you can see what your CS courses match there or the other course there. And if there's some course you took at another school, because you say coming in from another 4-year school, you had a lot of CS, I would be the one to sort of work with that to try to figure out what counts if it's not on that list. That's what I do. The community college list is here. Perhaps you've seen it. So the most common course that counts as 2100 is CSE 223. If you've had just 221 and 222, you'll need to go into 223. If you've just had 221, sorry, if you've just had 221 and 222 at the community college, take RCS 2100. If you just had 221 at the community college, you're ready for our 2100. All right. Um, yeah, the community colleges do things in 3 semesters, and we do them in just 2. There's one little sort of tricky situation with CSC 205 and CSC 215. Those are the courses that match our CSO courses. And it turns out that the community colleges sort of changed their model for that after we had redesigned our curriculum. We thought that 215, CSC 215 would cover everything in 2130, but it turns out it doesn't quite cover everything. If you've had 205 and 215 both, you're in great shape. If you've just had CSC 215, go to the advising website, do a search for CSC 215 and read what we said there. And if you've got any kind of question, ask us during the orientation opportunities that we're going to have. There's a couple of courses that count as discrete math. That's fine. And there's a lot of courses that are like programming in C++ or this or that, the other, that don't count for anything that can be used for the major. They may transfer in as CS 2000 and T, and they'll count towards your 120 credits, but not towards one of the major requirements. All right. You are going to have a challenge getting into courses, maybe, but we are going to help you. We have actually set aside places in CS 2100, 2120, 2130, and 3140 for transfer students who have come. We had some places for and CS electives, but some things have changed since the spring. We've had some people leave and some courses offerings have had to change. So we may have some challenges getting into electives, but that's why we want to talk to you. When you look online, you'll see that these appear to be full, but that's because we've set the limits low because we're saving places for people like you. So this is something we will work with you individually on to sort of get you in. And so do not panic. This is one of the reasons we need to know how to get in touch with you. So last thing I'm going to say is that, yeah, getting courses is a challenge. Your first semester, there's a lot of adjustment. Our courses move faster than things at many schools, especially the community colleges. The classes are much larger. It seems much less personable. You seem a little bit more anonymous. You're not sure how to get help. The amount of work can be much higher than at some schools. So there's a lot of adjustment, but students survive, they make it through. We're going to try to help you. And definitely a lot of things get better for your second semester. For transfer students, we want to urge you, do not be afraid to ask for help. Ask your instructors, but we also have TAs. One big difference you'll find here is that the reliance on TAs for getting help is much more important than it would have been at a community college where the instructors might have 30 students. I might have 150, 200 students. And so my TAs are essential for getting help to students. If you have problems with courses or other things, there's lots of ways you can get advice. I've mentioned SJ numerous times. The CS-office email gets to her. Your association dean can help you, and I can too. So don't be afraid to sort of reach out for help in your first semester. And that's all I wanted to say about our program, about our CS courses, about your getting you oriented for transfer students. Again, we're glad you're interested in computer science. If you're transferring in, welcome. We're excited to have you. If you have questions, get in touch and be sure to fill out that form so we know how to get in touch with you to give you information about some help and orientation sessions that we're going to do. All right, take care. Welcome to UVA. Go Wahoos.